Hello and welcome. Welcome to today. Welcome to this powerful video. How do we make a relationship last? What is the secret to it? And Judita and I both have so much insight to share with you. I'm especially curious, Judita, because you have, 20 years of marriage under your belt, which is amazing. And I really want to hear about that. And also my input from my previous experience and the little really like the little nuggets of wisdom, the little secrets of how do we make it last and what is the real key to, well, success in all your relationships really was what we're gonna dive into. So Yudita, how about as always, just like a really quick tuning into the body so people can actually hear us when we're talking.
Yes, hello and everyone and welcome. We're so excited that you are here. We are so full of energy, even though it's my evening and it's Anna's morning.
It's
So I
like
hope
early
you can,
morning.
yes, join us in this energy. So if you can just tune into your body and just take a deep inhale into the body through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And I love this quote, a sun is shining and grass is green, which I've been using almost daily. And you might be thinking, no, it's not today. And I'm like, yes, behind the clouds, there's always a sun. Under the snow, there is still grass growing. So yes, it is. So join us in this, in this energy. Another deep inhale. And a very, very deep one, even if you feel like you can more, but you can. And deep exhale, you can even make a sound. Oh. And move your body if you feel like it. And welcome. I love when you said
Yeah.
20 years of marriage. I was like, no, it's not 20 years of marriage. It's been 20 years
20 years
together, but
together.
I think
How
I've
many
been
years
married,
have you been married?
I think 7 or something like that.
7. Okay,
Yes, I
but
can't
together for 20
remember
years.
it.
That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
think 7, 8 years or something like that.
I'm like,
Yes.
that's a long time to spend with a person.
Yes, it is. And you know what? It's really interesting. I remember when I used to share a house with other people and they got this idea that because we are a long time together that we have no problems. That
Mm.
we are such a perfect couple, that we have no problems, that everything is going so well with us. I'm not sure if you just froze because I can't see you moving on my screen, so
Oh,
I'm
that's right. I
better.
have. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, well,
so
I'm still
before
here. It's gonna
yeah,
work on and off.
you see, there are some things you can't control, some things
Things
which
can't
are not
control.
perfect. Problems come, some technology stuff happens.
It's okay.
So
You just keep
that's
sharing
just
until the camera thing starts to
yes.
work out.
Okay. So that's just part of the life. So and yes, and I remember for my friends saying oh my God, you guys are never really fighting. We don't hear you and you seems to have no problems. And I was like, oh my God, just because I'm with somebody for 20 years, it doesn't mean that we also don't get through the waves, that sometimes our relationship is stronger, sometimes it's weaker. It depends where we are in our lives. And when you said what is the secret of making the relationship last, I would say first, do not make it last. Do not make it last. And what do I mean by that is that sometimes you get so entangled in the relationship with the other partner that you are trying to, make it work, to please each other, to be together all the time, to save it, to, do everything to make it work. But I feel that that's one thing which is actually hurting the relationship because from my experience, um, the weakest point in my relationship was when I did not look after myself. And I don't know if you and I, if you can like, relate.
I absolutely love, love, love what you said, and so many points. And I want to address, first of all, how you identify the weak and strong, right? Because so many of us don't don't get to that point, right? It's either the relationship is thriving or we're doing great, or it's done. This amazing author who like specialized in relationships, I remember him saying how, for a man especially, it's like the bills are paid, the house not on fire, we're good. And then he's like, and then my wife comes to me like, I feel disconnected from you. He's like, what are you talking about? We're fine, right? And so many of us have that, or so many women are like, oh, I don't want to be too much, right? And I don't want to address some of those things. Well, they're actually not allowing their whole light to shine through. And it's so important to have that. Like, wait, how is from 1 to 10, let's say, where's our relationship at right now? And it's also okay if people are in different places sometimes, and because we have those waves, and I would love to talk about that in more details, how we have waves of connection and disconnection. And it's so great how when we can have it at the same time, like, okay, we're both like in our worlds and then we're both coming together. But there are also those moments that I'm sure you've had in your years of being together with your partner where it's like one person wants to connect and the other's in their own world. And then like those waves are kind of like, not meeting together and how to navigate that. But really such an important question is like, wait, how weak or strong is our relationship right now? Because it's like a person's health, right? It's like you don't measure it like they're either alive or they're dead. It's like, no, how's your health? Do you feel healthy in your body, right? It's an important question to ask. And I love that you brought that up. Um, my experience in regards to, because I've had, a marriage that wasn't in alignment for me anymore, and then relationships following that. And I feel that such a big shift along this journey was me. Because I noticed as I transitioned that a lot of the things is kind of like what you started touching on. When we are not in alignment with ourselves, we're going to be so frustrated with the other person. And then when you are in alignment with yourself, you're just giving from the overflow. Like everything outside of you is a reflection of your inner state. And so it's like getting you into that place of groundedness, into that place of centeredness, into that place of devotion to God, life, source consciousness, is really for me like the foundation of, relationships, any relationships, friendships as well. I mean, like we definitely have that, I can show up for you and receive the things that, the input or whatever is coming from you only when I'm in this place of being like, okay, I know where I'm going and there's like that target and I know what I stand for. And when I've had my self-care and connection to me, then I can receive things from the outer world. Yeah.
I love that. I love what you just shared. And what was just coming for me was we both been on the spiritual journey, right? Like with our own awakenings and with our own stories. And when I'm sitting here and I'm just listening to, I'm like, I cannot believe, and I still sometimes cannot believe that I'm still in a relationship after after my spiritual awakening. Because, when you go through the transformation where like, the like change is so big where you are really started looking after yourself and your needs. And I've been sharing that in my videos that I always was like, pleasing everyone, doing things for others, but I never really asked myself, what is it that I want? I just thought that when I'm in a relationship, we both need to like be wanting the same thing, both of us same thing, otherwise we are not supposed to be together, right? So I've been really struggling with that in my head of thinking, well, something is like wrong with us because we don't have like exactly the same,
Mm,
passions and desires, and we
yeah.
don't want spiritually same things, right? And what I wanted to say was like that, as you like mentioned, that when you go through the transformation, right, in your life, that when you are somewhere else, when your partner is somewhere else, and then you feel disconnected, and it's actually when I look back, it's because I was disconnected from the source. When the things were really weak in my relationship, I was really disconnected from the source. I was disconnected from myself. I was trying to please, blame, judge, control, right? Like my marriage, my relationship. And um and I remember sitting by the table with my friends, and I was just sharing all this, and my partner was there too, and this like other guy who was doing a man's work was like listening to it, and he just looked at my at my partner and he was like, good job holding this, holding this
Oh,
container, like holding this, like, for this, like for this woman. And I was like, wow, yes, because
mm.
it wasn't easy. It definitely wasn't easy. And it's like never ending work, right? Like everything. But and
I want
sometimes
to
I'm
point
just
this
like,
out to everybody. Sorry, I want to interrupt you. I want to point this
hmm,
out. It's like you've been together for
yeah.
20 years and you're still like, no, we're not. It's like what you're saying. Your friends were like, oh, okay, well, you guys are together and like you don't have, like, you're not dating, so you have no problems. It's like, it takes a lot of work. And I mean, like, I'm just witnessing that from you and what I'm hearing from you. It's like, oh, yeah, we had this talk today. Like, you guys have constant communication, you constantly show up and talk about things that are changing. Like, I mean, I'm hearing your side of this, talking about things that are changing in your life and like being vulnerable and honest about it, and it doesn't get easier. Like, some things are still like, yes, you've known this person, but it's like you're going through life together, and that implies change, that implies transformation, that implies like keep communicating things that you're not sure of. Or like what you said, I'm sure it was a huge transition of like being a people pleaser and not being that anymore. And how it sounded like he was taking advantage of that, but he's like, oh, okay, I'm used to this Judita. And it's like, oh, there's a different Judita now. Like, how do I adapt to that? Right. And that's the beauty of relationships. Like, we get to be on our individual journeys together and we keep communicating. And I love that, you're an embodiment of that, that like it is an ongoing journey. And it's not like, oh, okay, we just, there's conscious growth is what I'm witnessing from you guys.
Yes, and it's not that we really figured it out, that we have we
Yeah.
have a model and we know that this is forever, right? And I'm pretty sure if you ask my partner like was it easy, like, did you want to leave? I'm pretty sure he wanted to leave many
Yeah.
times, that it would be so much, because we actually realized that we would be okay on our own if we separated and we were like doing our own things. But the thing is that if we tune into it, into our body, of like into that experience, I would still miss the laugh of like his presence, if like being with him, sharing things like, the connections we have like together and things we love doing together. And I also like believe that's what we were actually just talking about like not a long time ago, that we would miss that. And I feel like if you still feel that, that means that you still like want to be together, and you still like, and I don't know how our like, future looks like. It might be two separate kitchens, two separate bedrooms, or a two, I love like, when we share together like a two storage house where you have your own floor and like, and other people are on a different floor. I was like, oh, could I have that?
I know.
That
I'm like,
sounds
I want
amazing.
different floors. I love how you started though. I find it so funny because for me, I would say I want separate bedrooms. I love how you start with separate kitchens. Like, because I've seen like that's pretty normal that people are like, okay, let's have different bedrooms. And I'm definitely one of those people, but you're like, I don't know, maybe we're gonna have separate kitchens. I'm like, what's up with the kitchen there? You're like,
Yeah.
I want my separate kitchen. Okay. I love it.
Yes. Like, yeah, I love my space. I love my
Mm,
space. I love, and it wasn't always like that. I believe when I like started working on myself, I realized how important it is to have my own space and
mm.
do things my own way. And
Have the
and I'm
freedom
still
to do
learning.
that. I feel like
Yeah.
that's what a lot of us have. Like, I know for me there was just so much social conditioning of like, okay, if you want a happy relationship, that's what it's supposed to look like. And then when
Yeah.
you start doing this and you're like in this confidence, like, oh, wait a second, wait, what do I want? What if it's not the
Mm,
social conditioning? What if that doesn't work for me? And it's like there's no right or wrong. You get to create it, and you get to feel more safe and more open to communicate that to your partner. And I love that. And I love how you
mm,
touched on, you started this, it's like the secret to making it work is to not try to make it work. And I want to add to that because this is like, if you're trying to like, okay, I have to stay with this person no matter what, it's like, you're likely to self-abandon. You're likely to forget yourself. And I know you and I are both like, working on this particular teaching right now and kind of like having fun with it. And a big part of it is that you can't address something from fixing. And I literally just did a video on this where if you're like, this is wrong, let's fix it. You're not going to fix it because the energy behind it is lack. And if you're like, okay, this is what we're creating, you're going to be able to create that. And it's the
Mm,
same as like when you're trying like, okay, let's stay together. But you're really focusing on how, let's say you're not compatible or things that are wrong. It's like it's not gonna work. But when it's like, oh, how can I express the truest, fullest, most fun, most loving version of me in this relationship? How can I use this relationship as a means to, I don't know, honoring love, God, the divine, whatever, in life, in my partner? And I feel like
mm,
that is such a very different way to look at it. And I want to add to that that not only not trying to make it last, but making last the relationship that's most important, that is the one with you. And understanding that your other dynamics in your life, be it friendships, be it romantic relationships, be it work relationships. I've had a lot of clients, they're like, this job isn't right for me anymore. It's like, no, because you tuned into the right relationship with you, and that's not right, and something else is going to come along. And so it's like when you're focusing on making the relationship with you last, everything else just comes together.
I love that. And also like when you share that we both are now focusing on the one teaching, we are like practicing.
Yeah.
What actually came up is like in terms of relationship, um like I feel like I want to share this. Like, focus on the strengths of the relationship, not on the weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because, we tend to like, focus on on the weakness of what's wrong instead of like, oh, but what we actually love about this relationship or about this person. And like, because our mind tends to be really like, focus on the negative stuff and is never really happy as we know. But really, really like where your awareness and attention is, that's where the energy actually flows.
I want to intervene in that because I feel like you just said that as a default because we like had a phone call last week and it was the opposite of that because we're like, wait, because you said, oh yeah, we know the mind's never happy. It's supposed to be happy. Like your default is to be happy.
Um,
You were taught out of it. Your default is
mhm,
actually to be happy. And because a lot of people tell me
mhm,
things like, oh, so I'm just supposed to fake it. And it's like, you're faking it all the time. You were born naturally so freaking loving and so ecstatic about life. And then you were taught and faked like, oh right, okay, I'm supposed to feel shame because I did something wrong. And then because you were conditioned to do that, it's like, okay, you're good if you feel bad when I'm upset with you. We did fake it. We faked it into where we are right now. So how is this any different? Because life
mm,
itself is neutral. Your partner is neutral. They're not good or bad. The whatever they do is not good or bad. It's however you interpret it. I remember I had a client, such an amazing example. They were deprived and they had a fight with their partner, many years of marriage. And like they've been together for life, they had kids, built a home, everything. And they're like, I'm not heard, and he's a jerk and he's doing that. And then I was like, look, take a weekend off. He's not there. Go into self-care and then just give to yourself because I feel like those things that you're like, he's not hearing me, you're not hearing you. Okay, so just take that weekend for you. And she gets back to me on Monday and she's like, you were right. I just needed time for me. And it's so sweet. He called me on Monday. Like, I just woke up with this high frequency and he's planning this trip for us. And I'm like, this right there, if you were in a low frequency or if you were not there for you and like I disoriented, him telling you I planned this trip, you would have reacted like he's bulldozing me and he's not asking me for my opinion. As always, that was a whole marriage, right? But because you're high frequency, you're like, oh my God, that was so sweet, and he cares. And it's what the person does is actually neutral. Your interpretation of it depends on you and your state of being. And you're either choosing the
mhm,
negativity or you're choosing the love. Yeah.
I love that. Yes. Well, how do we wrap this? Like,
I want you to talk about the connection, like the body connection to yourself, because that's such a crucial part. Um, Gosh, this should be a whole other video because I want to talk about the physical connection and like especially in relationship, the sexual connection, how we like depend on our partner for that connection. But I feel like that's a whole other video. But can you
mm,
touch on some of uh the wholeness, coming into wholeness? How do we do that?
mm. Oh, the change of body, mind, and soul, the connection. Oh,
It's like this right here. She just said it with how she with all of that she did. Yeah.
yeah. Like really, I believe going into the quietness of like being with yourself, what you just share, what you did with your client, of really giving yourself space and grace and time um and your own presence to be with your own feelings, with your own emotions, with your own body, and noticing what's happening in your body,
Mm.
noticing what's happening in your mind, noticing what's happening in your heart, and what is your soul craving for. I believe that's what will bring you into the wholeness, and that's what is gonna shift your relationship, and that's what is gonna support your, like, journey in a relationship, right? So, yeah, that's what I would say. Hmm.
I love that. And you also have an offering with that. You've created something to help people tune into
Oh,
that, right?
yes.
Can you talk
Yes.
about that?
My personal program, which is called Body is Your Compass. So feel free to reach out. The email will be down below under the video. But
Mhm.
also me and Anna, I want to really talk about this amazing program we created together, which is called Confident and Connected Woman like course. And it's such a beautiful creation where you actually can come to yourself, to your true self, to be with yourself. And we are really going through different levels and
But
this
yeah, the
beautiful,
different sorry, I
yeah.
wanted to, because when you said that, I was like, gosh, I remember just what I needed in those dynamics. And I remember being in this place of so depending on the outer world for my connection. Or depending
Mm,
on, it's like, I remember one of the things that really stood out to me when I heard a practitioner say was, as a woman, as the feminine, it's like, you're just like your natural state is radiance and it's connection. And so if your partner's having downtimes, like, it's okay. And I was like, no, it's not okay. Like, no, he's like bringing my energy down. It's like, that is only seen as that if you don't have that inner radiance, if you're not connected within you, if you're not confident, if you don't have that centeredness within you. But when you do, you're not faking it like, oh, okay, right, they're upset, but I'm supposed to be fine. You're genuinely fine. Like you're just like, this is life. I love it. Like if my current lover is not available, life is my lover and I love it. And you're in that state and then you create from that state. And that's just such a juicy and delicious place to be at. And this is what we're sharing in the program that is starting in January. So if you want
mm.
information on that, do contact us. And I also love that you said the compass thing because I literally just created like a 7-day audio thing. It's like a short thing. It's not in depth, but for those people who want to dip their toes in. And the picture of it is actually like a compass. So I love that you said that your program
Well, we are
is the
connected.
compass. Yes, because it's that, because your body, like, your emotional body, like that's your inner GPS. And then also not only just feeling deeply, but also like, wait, how do I choose to feel and how do I choose to create? And that's what those audios are for like 7 days for people to just like dip their toes and be like, oh my God, I actually have control over my life. So that's something that will be as well below in the description. So thank you guys so much. If there's a topic that you want us to cover, let us know below and we will do that in the upcoming weeks. Much
Thank
love
you.
and many
See you.
blessings. Thank you.